what? Now I'm putting my hat back in view.
Hey, you want to give me more money, that's fine. So, yeah, Danny was just telling me why he was making us late. Welcome to the show, everybody.
I was not late.
Yeah, sure. So now what, your phone's going to be making noises this whole time? Is that what we're doing?
Let me put it on do not disturb. Hold, please, sir. There you go. Do not. You know what that noise was? The notification that we were live, because I subscribe to your channel and get notifications. So there you go. As should everyone here in the chat, please subscribe and click that bell to receive notifications. And if you want to, even include a super chat. See how much promotion I'm doing for you, and I don't get anything from this. I didn't finish that word. I don't get blank all from any of this.
I think you finished the word.
Nah, I said fuck. Anyway. Dude, speaking of She-Hulk getting smashed, I can't wait to talk about this episode. Uh-oh.
I think you finished the word.
My phone started playing the video for some reason.
So now you see you're just really helping the professionalism.
I just want to explain to everyone watching, I am not a New York Giants fan. Cece is. And this is so I don't have to get up often. I can fit 2 cans of Diet Coke in here. And so that's why I'm using this. So this is not an endorsement of the team. Just wanted to clarify
that. So welcome everybody. And yes, Queen Elizabeth has passed away.
I just heard about that about like 30 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, after ruling England for 140 years or something like that.
She was 96, but still. She had a great run.
She'd been on the throne for how long? How long was she Queen of England?
I don't know, man. Like
60 years, something like that.
60
crazy
plus years. But no, I'll be lucky to make 69, let alone 96. So no sympathy from me. She had a good run. And what's that mean now? Prince Charles finally gets to be king for a couple weeks before he dies. So I mean, that'll make him happy.
I don't know if Charles is actually going to become king or not, or if it'll go to one of his sons.
No. I mean, they still follow the whole Game of Thrones thing. It's the firstborn son.
Well, if they were following the Game of Thrones thing, then
Charles will be king tomorrow. I mean,
well, doesn't that mean Charles has to like bang his sister and make a new king?
Didn't he already, or didn't his parents? And then why his face is all messed up? Sorry, any of our English fans or UK followers.
Yeah, now all of a sudden, no more subscribers from England.
You mean House of Dragons? Oh, okay. Maybe you spelled Kronos wrong, by the way, but that's okay. That's how J.J. Abrams spells it. So clearly, you're.
That's how he spells his name. Now leave him alone. Fan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be picking on my regulars.
Oh, 70 years. Sorry, Thomas Potts. What, they all pick on me. I can't come out like CM Punk shots fired. Do we have any? Oh my God! Before we get into this, since Kadish is in here, do we have any wrestling fans in the chat? And if we don't, I swear to God, I will not talk about it at all. But if we have at least one, I just got to talk to that one person, because so much craziness has happened in the last couple days in the world of professional wrestling, specifically in AEW. Anybody?
Nobody cares about professional wrestling.
All right. Well, this is why none of my friends tune into the show. But hey, we only have 5 likes.
And that's weird. If
we have 17 people watching, hit that like button.
Yeah. So if Charles is now king of England, that's so weird to think that there is a king of England again.
King Charles of England. But he's not going to live that long.
Well, but even
I spell my name the way I want to spell it.
But think about that, Danny. For an entire generation before either you or I were born, there has not been a king of England.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Here's the thing. They don't matter, is what my friends from the UK have told me. Like, they're basically...
Well, no, they don't have any real power.
It's like a mayor of a city. They don't... Yeah, they're just like a figurehead, a face. They don't have any power.
The mayor of a city has actual power.
More than a king or a queen? I don't know. Like, the way they explained it to me was they equated it to
you really think the mayor of a city has no political power whatsoever just because it's a city and not and they're not like a governor or something.
I didn't say that. All I said is they equated the Queen of England to what you would call a mayor of a city, and I was like, oh, well, that's not very powerful at all. It's like
that makes no
because
sense.
The mayor can no, because the mayor it does, because the mayor can be like, well, we're doing this, and then the state can be like, no, you're not, because we're doing this, and then the federal government can be like, ha ha, no, you're not, because we're doing this. So so she's like third tier apparently, because they have their part. I can't remember exactly how I was explaining it. I'm not from the UK, or I didn't. My specialty in college had nothing to do with Europe, sadly. But I don't know, Kronos. That third episode was extremely disappointing, especially on Star Trek Day. But we'll get into that.
All right. So let's talk. So you actually watched Lower Decks this time?
Yeah, but I want to talk about She-Hulk first, because I loved this episode. And if you didn't, I'm looking forward to the fight. But if you did, bummer. I wish Kadish was here.
Yeah, well, no, you're glad Kadish isn't here.
I bet Kadish hated it. No, because if we're just like blowing each other, it's boring, But
no, I don't think the episode was boring by any stretch.
No. What I'm saying is if you and me agreeing, if it's just the two of us agreeing, it's a boring episode. But when we have Kadish telling us how terrible She-Hulk is, and then everybody gets to witness my soul being crushed while you stand firm, that makes for more entertaining television.
Right. But, well, spoiler alert, we're not going to agree.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then, I think stay tuned, everyone, because this will be a fun ride.
So I think that so go ahead and give me your top down, high level. What did you think of it?
Oh my God. I mean, okay.
Okay, so we know you liked it. You don't have to start.
If you suspend this, no. Also, I'm actually going to start with the problems I had. Okay. God. If you have a hard time suspending disbelief, which clearly I don't, as a wrestling fan, so I'm very adept at suspending disbelief. This was probably the worst her CGI has ever looked, and we're 4 episodes in. So that's a little concerning. However, it didn't it didn't bother me as much as I'm sure it bothered a ton of other people, but it did. There were a couple times in the episode where I was like, oh God, Marvel couldn't do better than that. It looked very Shrek like in a couple scenes, which was a bummer. I'm sorry, I'm blurry. Let me there we go. Is that better? Anyway, so I also liked blank. Yeah, I know that was just me at my attempt at humor, which failed miserably. Okay, there we go. Hopefully it gets better, man. I don't know, I have it on autofocus. I'm not a professional. I don't have my own channel. I don't get super chats.
Okay, you're going off on a tangent.
I'm interacting with the chat.
Bring it in. We're talking about She-Hulk here.
But I loved. Oh my God. What's funny is I was worried because these interviews and stuff that I read, they were like, yeah, we really wanted to do a lot more with breaking the fourth wall. And I really feel like, they kind of make us tone it down and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if you read the same stuff that I read, but that was kind of
stuff. I don't read behind the scenes stuff while the show's going.
Oh, I do. I'm a junkie for that stuff. So, I was, and I'm glad in this case that I did, because this had the most breakage of the fourth wall, I think, than any of the episodes. I mean, it freaking opens with her talking to us, which I love. It's like, I hate to keep making this comparison, but it's very Saved by the Bell. And I almost wonder if the people in the writer's room, because you've seen that Variety article, right? Because I know Kadish brought it up, where they were like, hey, it was pitched as this, and all these people were supposed to be writing it as like this kind of Ally McBeal type show. Well, we're all like a bunch of millennials who never saw Ally McBeal, but I guess Saved by the Bell's before Ally McBeal. So I don't know, man. The way they break the fourth wall really reminds me of Zach Morris, more so in this episode than any, and I loved it. I liked You know, we'll get into it bit by bit because I'm just going to go over things that I like. I loved this episode. This was probably my, and I'm going to die on this hill, I guess. This is probably my favorite She-Hulk episode because it was the most She-Hulk episode we have gotten so far, where it's mostly about the character of She-Hulk. It's mostly She-Hulk, the character on screen. I could be wrong. Somebody in the chat, please correct me, but I think we got actually the most time of She-Hulk by herself, not with She-Hulk and the Hulk, but She-Hulk screen time. I think we got the most in this episode than any. And then we got to see her kick ass at the end. I loved this episode. Sorry. There you go.
Okay. So
I've already watched it 3 times.
Okay, well, this episode to me was the weakest of the series so far.
Okay, you gotta, why?
Well, okay, so don't get me wrong, there were parts of it that I think were excellent, and mainly the entire Wong storyline I really enjoyed, and pretty much enjoyed every moment that Wong was on screen, every moment that She-Hulk was working on Wong's case. However, the whole dating thing,
he was my least favorite part of this episode. Go ahead with the dating thing because I bet
the dating thing I did not care for because they kind of fell into exactly what a lot of the detractors of She-Hulk have been accusing the show of being, which is a show where every man is a slime ball. And because notice that the entire male cast of the show was missing this week. Not one regular male cast member was there.
I think you and Kadish are like paranoid and you're looking into this too much.
No. If you look at this episode, the boss wasn't there. Pug wasn't there. Even Mr. Douchebag Lawyer wasn't there. None of the regular cast of male characters were there. The only
didn't bother me at all.
Well, of course not. But every guy except for Wong that we met was a complete douchebag, and Wong was unfortunately kind of made into an idiot. Because don't tell me that Wong is going to be going out with Madison with a Y, but not where you think it is.
Okay, man. You gotta either I gotta take notes or you give me these questions one at a time. Yeah. I will battle every single one of those points, and I feel like I could turn you.
Okay.
So let's do these one at a time. Like, where you want to start? The Wong thing, that was the last thing.
Okay, tell me male character in this episode other than Wong that was not a douchebag.
Okay, so you're looking at it from a male's point of view. So
no, I'm looking at it from
you are, and I'll tell you why. Dr. Black Sexy McGee, what was his name? The doctor that she ends up banging. And let's not get it twisted, kids. That dude fucks She-Hulk, so how big is his whatever. We need a air horn or
really. That's where you're going with this. So
no. Hold on. No. Stop. Let me. I know where you're going. Anyway, all I'm saying is she was out of all the douchebags that she met, and you don't want to overload like. So let's say we did have the regular male cast, and everybody would be like, "Oh my god, every single man in this episode except for." Pug, it's like, okay, if we're already going to have like she's doing a speed dating montage of douchebags, we don't need the regular ones around. So I had no problem with that. And all of them were either douchebags or fanboys, until this last guy. And then she was just so enamored. Dude, I don't know. I'm pretty
fanboy.
She's got her earbuds. No. Yeah, the was like that one date she was on where the guy was like, is your skin impenetrable?
Yeah, he wanted to get it sounded like he wanted to experiment on her.
No, he sounded like a fanboy because he was also talking about other superheroes. But
really,
again, perception's reality. I mean, like that was no. I was just
asking her details of her powers. He was asking her how impenetrable her skin was.
Yeah,
and then he referred to her as a specimen.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I don't know, man. I've talked to people just like this.
He had mad scientists written all over him.
I mean, I disagree with that, but
he was one line away from being the leader.
you know, we can agree to disagree on that. You know,
Mhm.
I saw him more as like a comic book fan who was like, oh my God, She-Hulk swiped right on me. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And screw trying to get her into the sack. I'm going to ask her all the nerd questions I want. And then I'm going to report it back on my blog. You know, like that's how he came off to me. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of, so maybe I'm creepy and my whole perspective on life is
I think you're
skewed
definitely
and
creepy,
twisted,
but go ahead.
and that's why I have to, like, you know,
Okay.
take your advice
So,
and my mother's and find Jesus. But anyway, I back to he was a good character as well. He was equal to I did not see that as making that. So the whole thing is like in the morning when he sees her as Jen, she leaves, and that's what makes him a douchebag. Is that your argument with that character, with that male character?
no, I
Is
think
that
he
your
was
argument?
playing her the whole time. I
I
think he
don't.
just,
Wow.
I, why? Because
No,
he
I
gets up the
don't.
next
Wow,
morning.
that's so funny. No,
Because
okay,
if it was,
no,
if wait,
because,
if it
dude,
was
if
just
you went to
because
bed
he's,
with,
if it was
okay, if
just
you just,
because
if,
he woke up with Jennifer as opposed to She-Hulk, then he would have had a little more than like, oh, that
all
was
right.
unexpected. Well, I'm out of
No,
here.
no, okay, hold up. Let me paint a picture, bro. Let me paint a picture. And people in the chat, please, I want to know if I'm losing this fight. Please, I don't want to. I want to hear from everybody in the chat on this. So, look, let's say, and I'm of a certain age, so help me with references. I'm going to say my knee jerk reaction is Cindy Crawford. Say you got to go on a date and have sex with Cindy Crawford, but I need to bring it down to the younger crowd. What's like, who's hot? Like, give me like two more. Like, you get what I'm saying. You're my age, right? Cindy Crawford was the epitome of the hottest chick on earth. Pam Anderson, maybe, but that's still, and like, yeah. Who's like a current hot chick everybody just objectifies, and or do they not do that anymore because we live in the woke times?
It doesn't matter who. It just so you see some hot chick that's a
No,
celebrity.
I did not just see. You have a great date with. She's clearly into you to the point where you're like, let's say he is just spitting game.
He had
just
to
like
be.
we can smell. Hold
What
up.
guy says
Let me
every
time out.
stereotypical line?
Time out. I'm that guy. So time out. Let me give you that point of view. Dear God, man. So when he's still spitting game and he does the whole drops the let's split the fries line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, can we get those to go? Dude, at that point, he doesn't have to spit game anymore. He just has to be his own charismatic self because she just told him, fuck them fries. I want to bang you. And I just said another cuss word. Man, I'm sorry. We need to have a just on
I'm
these
working on a
fight
tip jar
ones.
for you. Anyway,
Like, no, like we should have like a parental discretion. What's it called? Advisory thingy. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I felt that guy's pain because let's say you went to bed, you had an amazing date, amazing connection. You go back home, then she leaves to fight crime. And if he was a douchebag, I don't think they would have taken the time to do the cut scene where he's reading a book about feminism. Out of all the books he could have grabbed to read, he's being a sensitive male which isn't real. I mean, this is a fantasy concocted by a writer's room full of women. And I totally understand that. And that's why they are using stereotypes that are aggravating men so much. But hey, newsflash, how do you think it's been the last, I don't know, 100 years? Men have been in charge and women have been objectified and made the butt of jokes and made the stereotype and things like that. I mean, I think it's really unfair, the flack this show is getting. I think it's actually very balanced, honestly, because I could have easily been that guy, that doctor guy, because my point earlier, insert whatever hot celebrity, famous person here. You go home with Cindy Crawford after an amazing date. She leaves. She actually kind of blows you off for a little bit. So you're just like killing time in her house. Then she comes back, and the second she does, she picks your a double crooked letter up, takes you to the bedroom, and probably gives you the most memorable sexual experience of your life. Okay. And then fade to black. Then you wake up. And I don't know, compared to She-Hulk, I don't want to be canceled or overly rude here. But let's say instead of waking up to Cindy Crawford, you're waking up next to, I don't know, Paula Poundstone. Again, guys, these references are so dated. I'm sorry. If we can find something better in the chat, if you can help me out. But that's just how it came off to me. So two things here. One, they were on equal planes, because she even made a comment when she was fighting the demons about how talking about all the good things about him. And then she's like, and he's good looking, which isn't really a big thing. But then she looks at the audience and it's like, actually it is, type of thing. She's showing us how she is. And then when she gets home, dude, that was the easy. I mean, I've been that close, but like that was the easiest one night stand of that dude's life. You know what I mean? Like,
right? But he worked for it.
She comes back. She didn't have to, because she wanted it. Okay, so if this were like being sexist or whatever, like the dude's only out for, like, she's clearly on the prowl and needs the D, and she.
How much you want to bet?
Guy. And then
hold on, how much you want to bet that this guy surfs that dating app and pulls this stunt over and over and over? He tells the women exactly what they want to hear.
See, man, here I'm not trying to be rude,
but he was laughably perfect. And then, and by the way, you were talking about the book he was reading. Look again, because he didn't bring that book with him to her place.
No, that's her book.
Wait, that book was sitting on her coffee table before Wong showed up.
Okay, so the kind of man you're talking, first of all, those cut scenes, those are being shown. She's not there. It's purely for the sake of the audience. He could have been reading anything, doing anything. The fact that they took to the time to show that the dude was reading the book,
but he's
like, I'm just saying, like, hold up. If let's say it was me, and I was there, right? And that book was there. I might read it for a second. I wouldn't look. First of all, I wouldn't be looking interested, and probably after a minute, I put it down and, start thumbing through whatever magazines or other BS she had laying around, because I'm a scumbag. Sorry, honey. But like, that's kind of why I can relate to this guy, because like, I'm not anymore. But like in my youth, I used to, be not a great person. I've been with an exorbitant amount of women, and I can, like, we can kind of, smell our own. You see patterns. You like peep, because there's, gosh, when you're old enough and you interact with as many people as I have over my life, just because of the different types of work I've had and my social life and experiences, you really do see patterns in people. It's a real thing. That's why people, like, they do entire seminars and books, and people like Tony Robbins make so much money, because they have that rare gift of being able to teach people something that I just pretty much was born with, I think. So
let me ask you this.
And
if he is first of all, and to Stan Lee's comment, spills on his shirt so he can take it off. Exactly. Oldest trick in the book. Have you never seen any show?
No, first of all, he had two shirts. See, I'm so ready to
he was even prepared. He had two shirts on.
He was ready. Not only did he have two shirts on,
he had the white beater on just for that.
She knocked it over. No, because he even asked for his shirt. She knocked it over because she's not used to being the big bulky Hulk. She's still like being intimate. This is the first time she's being intimate as She-Hulk, and she's used to being a petite little thing, and now she's like a giant.
Actually, you're wrong.
She's not even as big as Kevin Nash, which bothers
me. But if you look at the scene, she reaches in to kiss him, and he does this and spills it on him. It go back and rewatch.
Go back and watch it. No, do it. Play it right now.
I can't, because I don't have it downloaded.
Boobs,
but
her Hulk. But usually do. Her Hulk boobs bump into the glass, knock it on him.
Her Hulk boobs do not bump into the glass. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
When she, her arm is near his arm, and he makes a jerking motion. She did not hit him with any amount of force that would cause him to jerk his glass. He did that on purpose. He absolutely did it on purpose.
Hey, man,
and even if he was, if he was as awesome and wonderful as, like, he's this male feminist that just is down because, he cares for female empowerment and all that stuff, and he's really the genuine article, then why did he walk out on her the next morning the second he saw her in normal human form?
I tell you why, because he went to bed with God, who's a super hot chick nowadays? I'm so out of touch.
It
Who's the
doesn't
hottest
matter.
chick?
He went to bed with She-Hulk. You don't have to make an analogy.
He went to bed with She-Hulk, and he woke up to a shrimp. Maybe like that's just like, first of all, he would have never.
Right. So he's incredibly superficial.
And so is she, because she slept with them on the first date. So they're on equal. They're not making him look any worse than her. Okay. If you like, you can't, this is what I'm talking about. We are just so conditioned and brainwashed by over a century of misogynistic.
It has nothing to do with conditioning.
No, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because if
I'm not shaming
if this were a show,
if this were a
show about a man, I'm not getting mad, honey. I'm getting passionate. Even Cece's in the other room. Here's me. I'm just saying, if this were a show and it was the Hulk, but like for whatever, or not the Hulk, I don't know. It was a male version of this situation. You know, an attorney got powers they didn't expect. You know the whole thing, but it's a man instead, and everything else is playing out the same way. And then when he shrinks down from the Hulk, he's Dr. Bruce Banner, and he's a scrawny
and the woman immediately walked
twig.
out. We would think that she was.
And the woman immediately walks out. You guys would laugh and think it's funny because it's normal.
I think I would
normalized.
I would think that she was a horrible person because she was only after the superhero. Oh, he was just looking for.
He was only after the sex. It'd actually be worse if it were a man because he's putting up the facade of being.
So you think
oh my God,
okay.
This would be crucified if it was a man. Now that I think about it,
wait. So you think it's okay?
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that the two, like, he's no better than her. She's no better than him. Everybody else before she met somebody who was equal to her. All those other dates she had, those were like the worst of the douches, right?
All those, you know what?
And then she met somebody that was on the level of douchery she is. So when she grows as a person, she'll be able to
are you telling me that those other guys weren't on the level of douchery that she was? I mean, serious? She was looking.
I think they were worse than her. I think they were worse than her.
She was looking for someone who was genuine. He played the genuine.
She was not. She was looking to get dick, bro. No chick. No.
Okay.
Any
first
chick
of all,
that
you
gets
don't
on an app.
Crass about it.
I'm sorry. Okay. She was looking to get laid. No chick who sleeps on the first date after they've just done a bunch of speed dates on one of those Tinder apps is not looking for something serious. This is a chick that hasn't gotten some good pipe in a while and just needs to get it.
From what we've seen of the show, from what we know of the character, and plus the fact that we actually get her inner monologue, which we don't get of any other character, she was looking for a genuine individual. Just because you think she was as superficial as
hold on, no. Have you not ever had self-talk where you're like, you're going into this one way and you're thinking so what she's doing basically is self-talk.
I know what it is. That's what's called the inner monologue. That's what you call it in a dramatic setting.
For sure. So look, maybe you're just an infinitely better person than me, but I've done the exact same thing where I'm like, you know what? Like, especially like, oh man, if Cece weren't here, I'd give a specific example, but you know, where you meet somebody, the first time you ever meet them, it goes like insanely great. You both seem to be too perfect for each other. And you're like, I don't want to ruin this because this could be something. And that's your inner monologue, as you call it. Okay. I'm looking for something. I'm actually looking for something. And then it just like, it seems so right. It's like, and then just like the animalistic hormones of the human condition take over, I guess, for the least disciplined of us among myself and this other person I can't name.
I for one don't.
And it happens. And then if you were to wake up the next day after that and it'd be a totally different person, physically and kind of attitude wise, like, dude, that'd be hugely jarring.
Except that everyone on the planet has seen her transform, and B, she,
maybe that's not true.
She even described transforming.
She was telling him the story. Yeah, she told him the story. I don't think he ever saw it because
he couldn't have not known she was little Jen.
Yeah, but she didn't advertise Jen. She advertised She-Hulk on that site. And that guy was looking to date She-Hulk. And then he and She-Hulk had a connection. He and She-Hulk hit it off.
So you think he was
She-Hulk blew him off.
Jen and She-Hulk were
he waited around. He waited around, bro. How long was she gone fighting demons? He waits around. reading like sensitive BS.
Yeah, because he was going to get the notch on his belt of being the first person to bag She-Hulk.
Thank you, Kronos. Look, oh man, God, now I wish Kadish was here. Because
why? Kadish would not be on your side on this.
I don't think he would. No, he wouldn't. But I bet he might have like a third point of view that would like bring me off. Because
he would chalk it up to bad writing and anti-male writers.
He would totally do the anti-male thing. But I'm telling you, man,
I'm not saying
you and Kadish are good people and long-term serious relationships. And I'm somebody who's, been divorced thrice and has 4 kids with 3 different women and has a wake of bad, decisions in his past. And I have a totally different point of view and perspective, I think, than the
but
two
you
of you.
having made bad decisions doesn't excuse this guy basically working her in order to
okay, by bad decisions, I'm just trying to be PC because Cece's in the other room. By bad decisions, I mean, like, I've slept with a lot of freaking women because I've done these same things, these same scenarios, where you go into it thinking like, I've been this guy. I've gone into it thinking I found the perfect thing. I don't want to mess.
He didn't think he found the perfect thing.
She picks him up. Dude, are you kidding? I don't know the way he was I don't know, man. Maybe somebody in the comments section was right. I am looking at this through rose-colored glasses. There's no way I was watching this through the main character's point of view, through her point of view, and I was seeing her point of view, and I could relate to her point of view as somebody who was like had that exact same situation happen. And usually with me, it's a hot chick who wakes up and sees a fat guy laying next to her and is like, "Oh, okay, well, have a good night." That's
a whole different thing because that's like, oh, you're
how
drunk.
It's the exact same thing.
No, that would be like, oh, you're drunk and you thought this guy was better looking than he was. This guy knew exactly what he was getting into. He was. Do
we know if he ever saw what she looked like as not She-Hulk? Because she didn't share any of that on her dating profile.
He knew that she wasn't always She-Hulk. But he knew that the night before.
Did he know that she was gonna like, dude? I mean, it's like she's like 5'1" or 5'2" and goes to 6. She grows 1.5 foot tall. Right. Plus she gets, exponentially bigger broad, and it's all immediately, it's not fair, cut and buff. I mean, if the CG were done right, I mean, she'd be banging. I mean, I guess she's banging, but I think,
I think that you're making excuses for this guy.
I am not making excuses.
You absolutely are, because this guy has manipulated her throughout the whole thing. He, the guy works out like crazy, so and does everything he can to be physically.
He's an hold up. Do you know the kind of discipline?
Then he tells people, "Oh yeah,
I'm a pediatric oncologist."
He's yeah. I'm sure he's really a pediatric oncologist.
I mean, God, you are so distrusting. I really want
this guy. 100%.
I want to. God, I wish we could interview the writers, and I just like, please tell me, like, because if he's right, I'll gladly eat crow.
The writer,
but, like, you did such a good job, and then they're gonna give that cop out. No, that's the beautiful thing about entertainment. It's open to interpretation. Why would I tell you? Blah blah blah. So we can have these passionate arguments, but that's fine. That's why we.
But no, this
podcast exists.
Well, but this is what. Unfortunately, like I said, this episode falls right into the trappings that many of the detractors from the series accuse it of being. Every man is either a douche or an idiot. And
no, he was an equal douche to her. So it also shows that women are douches. Let's look at her paralegal.
First of all,
paralegal
hold on.
thirsty social media. Okay, yeah. Okay. They are being more than fair, dude. They're hitting all the stereotypes.
You may not believe it's possible. I understand you think that everybody is this horrible animalistic base level person, but at the same time, she made it very clear that she was only that she was looking for a real relationship, and she was rejecting these other guys who she could have just had a fun one night stand with. In fact, that first guy that could bench, the guy that could deadlift 600 pounds. I mean, if she was going to just go for someone, for the
yelled like a roided out freak. The reason they did that was to show he's a roided out freak. Red flag. She was just like, okay, like, dude,
why is that a red flag to her? She could throw him across.
No, because if he's, yeah, but nobody wants that kind of relationship. Nobody wants
Well,
to.
but now you
like,
see, you just admitted she's looking for a relationship. Thank you.
and I agreed with that. What I
Right.
said was,
He
is when she
wasn't
met the
looking
right.
for a relationship.
You
He
don't
was
know
looking
that.
for a one
You
night.
don't know that because we did not get his
If he was looking for a relationship,
no, he established up front. I've been on too many of these dates and blah blah blah. And maybe it was like straight out of the movie Hitch, spitting game. I don't know, man. But unless
if he was looking for a relationship, he wouldn't have bailed on her the second he saw her as Jen and said, "Oh, keep the shirt."
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I can't. Well, I guess we'll just never agree on this. Again, I wish I was more hip with the kids' references. It's like going to bed with Cindy Crawford and waking up with Roseanne Barr. It's just like totally different. Well,
no, it's not. It's not the same thing because Roseanne Barr.
Somebody in the chat said that, and I was trying to give him a shout
back and forth. Right? She can transform back and forth at will. So just because she's small and mousy now doesn't mean she's going to be when they go on their next date.
We'll never know, because unless she'd have had the forethought to turn into the Hulk while she was making breakfast and dancing and being happy, and he came out to She-Hulk, he probably would have been like, had breakfast, hung around, scheduled the next date. Because, dude, I don't know, man. Like, apparently this has never happened to you. Like, if you have like the most amazing night of your life, and then you go home with your prize, and then you have amazing sexual experience with that prize, and then you wake up and the prize is totally different, wouldn't that blow your mind? That would just like,
first of all,
that would unravel me.
Right. But first of all, no, I've never had that happen. And secondly, people that you wake up because you have beer goggles the night before don't transform.
I'm not even just talking
people.
Okay, fair enough, man. All right, you know what? Let's just chalk
She
this up.
She really was the She-Hulk the night before. He didn't have to get drunk to see that. That's how she is.
But you're the one that turned it into a drunk thing. I didn't turn it into a drunk thing. See, so here, like you said.
Well, but you're saying you come home to your prize, but then you wake up the next morning and your prize sucks. Well, that's because the beer goggles wear.
I mean, that's one possibility. Okay. That's one possibility. Another possibility is you went out with She-Hulk and you woke up with Jen Walters. Let's see. Another possibility
because that doesn't happen in real life.
Okay, well, am I supposed to suspend disbelief or not?
People don't shrink
am I not supposed to
half overnight?
Bro, we're just not going to agree on this, man. Because when I'm watching this and I'm suspending disbelief, yeah, I buy into it. I buy into the fact that,
then show me a guy.
I wish I could date She-Hulk. I wish I could date She-Hulk. She'd be cool. She could lift me up.
Yeah, but you would only like it when she was in She-Hulk form. You would dump her the second she turned into Jen.
I mean,
a successful lawyer who's bringing home the bacon and can transform.
So is She-Hulk. She-Hulk is Jen can't be a lawyer because of her boss. Only She-Hulk is the lawyer. Like she has no job if she lawyers as Jen Walters.
Well, and she doesn't like that, but she's dealing with it. But that doesn't mean that she has to compromise in every area of her life. It doesn't mean that she should only date people that are going to bail on her the second they see her actual human form.
Of course not. And that's her learning this. This was her first time getting to be, She-Hulk on the dating scene. It was her first time, I guess, maybe in a way, now that I think about it, maybe I relate to it, because maybe this is how women think men are, and they were writing her as if she was the man in the dating situations, because I
don't know why you keep thinking that she's like a man. She is nothing like a man.
Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me?
Well, nothing like a decent man, at least. If that's what you think that a man is like, I don't know what your idea of what a man is, because most men aren't sitting there getting excited about the ideas of commitment and sensitivity.
Are you kidding? Wow, that is okay. Maybe okay. Most men of a certain age, they even make it a point to be like, dating in your 30s suck, and that's what my 30s was, man. Like, seriously, because I got married on my 18th birthday like an idiot to my high school sweetheart. We had a kid over a year later. Like, we didn't get married because she was pregnant. We just, got married because I was stupid on my 18th birthday. We weren't even together that long. I mean, I was with this chick I dated, Taja, like 3 times as long as I was with my first wife.
You're going on a tangent again.
Sorry, my point is, when you you've probably been lucky. How long you been with your wife?
We'll be married 30 years next year.
Amen. God bless you. I wish I had your life experience. I really do. And I'm so happy for you.
But you know
that is
what?
why you and I have no hold up. That is why you and I have totally. I wanted that, dude. That's what I wanted. That's what I thought I was doing when I got married at 18. I was like, I'm gonna be this person the rest of my life. You know, blah 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 blah. Some men out there, you know, are like that. Do romanticize things. Have the best of intentions, and I think a lot of it.
But he wasn't one of those men.
I don't know. He seemed like a carrot. I mean, I'm not like he's way better looking than me, but like I could
just
I don't
because
know,
he
man. I
looked
could see
good.
like I could. I don't know, man. I let's talk about something else because I could. I actually it was probably my favorite parts of this was your least favorite parts of this, and I think that says something because I'm still looking for what you have, man. So you got that wisdom.
The thing is,
having had that,
you don't get what I have by walking out the first time you see something that's the slightest bit less than perfection.
Agreed. But you also don't get that by sleeping with the man on the first date after like 5 minutes of conversation at the table,
which she was seduced by his game. And that was her showing her weakness.
See, that's you being conditioned by misogyny.
She thought that she finally had a guy that didn't give a crap about and this is the stupidity of it all. She thought she had a guy that actually didn't care about the fact that she was She-Hulk, that wanted to hear about her job and wanted to hear about her life and wanted to hear about her, when in actuality, he didn't give a crap about any of that, because if he did, he might have responded to Jen Walters' page instead of waiting till She-Hulk posted.
Man, we'll never know unless we get the writers on it.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious.
I hope everybody's entertained, though.
Right.
Now, we got 22 people watching us live right now. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat. Hey, Mom. I see you're in. Oh, thank God. She's listening at 2 times the speed, so she's probably missing a lot of my...
No, she heard all the horrible
things. Yeah. But we only have 12 likes. Everybody, come on, hit that like button. Unless, of course, you haven't because you're disgusted with my brutal honesty. But at least, with me, what you see is what you get.
Brutal stupidity. Anyway. So
that too. So, I mean,
now,
it's like...
Then we have the what's his name? Blaze. What was his first name again?
The magician guy.
It wasn't Johnny Blaze, but it sounded similar.
Yeah, I don't remember because that's how much
like Ronnie Blaze or something.
He's basically like a cheap. What's that guy's name here in Vegas?
He was like a wannabe David
Chris Angel or something. Chris Angel.
He was just a low rent magician.
Yeah, and illusionist or whatever. Yeah.
And Stan Lee says pretending to be interested in Broad's interest is the first trick in the book.
I understand that, but if he wasn't really,
well, that's what he did.
There's a reason they cut to the scene of him reading that book. I guarantee it. I mean,
yeah,
if I'm
because
wrong,
that's the only thing that he
if I had one question, to ask the writers, why did you show us that? What was the purpose of that? It was to further manipulate the audience as he was manipulating She-Hulk, which would be in kind of a way a meta backwards reverse mirror dimension fourth wall breakage, I guess. Or were they trying to prove the point that he wasn't actually spitting game because a woman is writing this and this is exactly what a woman wants to hear, but a woman doesn't know that. Men who are skeezy enough know that, and they will play them that way. But if he was that kind of man, when they cut back to him alone waiting on She-Hulk, he wouldn't have been reading a freaking feminist book. He'd have been sniffing through her panties, or I don't know, like reading a comic.
Wow, dude, you really going to the garbage with stuff.
I'm just being real, man. I'm just being real. Like, I think you're being too hard on this guy.
What kind of person does that? Anyway, she said wait here, so he was waiting because I'm glad I'm not like you then.
Exactly. So see, we got the angel and the devil.
Yeah. So then we had Wong, who they turned. I mean, Wong's sitting in Comertage watching The Sopranos on HBO. And now he's hooking up with a drunk chick, whatever her name is, a perpetually drunk chick.
Madison with the Y.
Yeah, Madison with a Y and not where you think it is.
Yeah. See, I remember her, but I don't remember the other dude's name. The magician, right?
And that just shows, I mean, first of all, yeah, why would Wong do that?
I can tell you. Do you really want me to? God, man, I am going to come off as a horrible human on this show.
You already are, but that's okay.
So Wong,
you're not going to come off. You already are coming off as a human.
Thanks. Wong is, I can relate to Wong actually, because Wong is not like, in his prime anymore. As a man who is also past his prime, Wong is just not in his prime anymore. And he's also been really busy with becoming the master of the mystic arts,
the sorcerer supreme.
Sorcerer supreme. I said it backwards. Sorry. I'm a little high. I think that they kind of connected, and I thought this was hilarious. They connected over, like, when I saw the screenshot, I knew there was a reason they showed the season and the episode, like what season it was and what episode of that season it was. I was like, I knew there had to be a reason for that. And like only diehard deep cut fans could see that information and know exactly what episode that is. And he's watching it for the first time. He's waited all these years. It's never been spoiled for him. And he's like super into it. I've actually this is so funny. I've had a similar experience. And then somebody's just like that big a nerd. It's like a Star Trek. It's almost kind of like a Star Trek thing. It would have been funnier if it was, something like Star Trek, but maybe Sopranos paid money. And they had that instant connection. You know what I mean? And I love how they drew that out all the way through to the tag at the end, because I don't think he's like, they're not hooking up or anything. He's just got like companionship. He's got a movie buddy who's like into the same thing.
But but the problem is, first of all, Wong wouldn't be sitting around watching The Sopranos, and he certainly wouldn't be doing it with Madison with a Y. And because this is not the same character that we see in the Doctor Strange films. Now, in the last one,
why do you say that? Hold up. Why do you say that? So I can counterpoint your logic. Or
sure. Look at Wong in Infinity War, when he and Doctor Strange are having their little banter just before Banner shows up, and Wong doesn't have any money. Why? Because he desires detachment from the earthly realm. He prefers to be only in touch with the mystic arts and the metaphysical and all that. He would not be sitting around watching HBO and then drinking vodka.
And he wasn't at that time. So you're talking about a character before the blip, before like Thanos and all this terrible garbage, before like canonically, whatever. Sorry, we're talking before. What's that horrible movie with their Justice League version of the Marvel with Icarus and Eternals. They had this is after Eternals. All this crazy stuff is happening. Doctor Strange is back, but he's not
right. But that's all the more reason for Wong to take.
He's the sort. Well, maybe Wong's just like, hey, Doctor Strange is. Maybe he just like, I don't know, man. Maybe he's just like, I just need. To
Wong is not.
I've been detached. Hold up, I've been detached so long. Maybe that's why they chose The Sopranos. He's like, I've been detached so long. This character you've known, that I am just now finally getting to watch The Sopranos, which is 20, 30 years old. And I can't remember what it was. Somebody, I wish she had usually have the screenshot. I think it was like season 1, episode 9 or something like it was kind of early on in the Sopranos.
I don't remember which episode it was, but I'm not a Sopranos fan, so I couldn't tell you. But I can tell you that this Wong, because Wong, think about this, even we go back to Infinity War, everything gets blown to pieces. Doctor Strange is missing, all this stuff is happening. And what does Wong do? He goes back to his sacred duty to protect the sanctum.
Exactly. Wong did it for 5 years. Doctor Strange was gone.
And he should, and he still he's the master of the mystic arts. He is the sorcerer supreme. He is above Doctor Strange. And so his job is to continue to train sorcerers, is to maintain Kamar-Taj, is to make sure that the sanctums are protected, all that stuff. He's not going to say, oh, I guess I'm going to hook up with my drunk buddy now and drink some vodka and
Well,
yak.
no, Doctor Strange is back at this point in time.
So Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong
so
is.
maybe I get that, but maybe while Doctor Strange is holding the fort down, because I'd like to think there's not catastrophes 24/7, 365, but you know, and on his downtime, which is why he's only in season 1, episode 9 of a 30-year show, is because he never gets downtime, and this is his one thing that he loves, and that's why he got so mad over the 2 spoilers. You know, I don't know. It all seemed plausible to me, man. Like I love this episode. I thought it was
the problem is that to me this just isn't the same character. Here we have a guy who is turned into a joke.
Who's got alcohol addiction, Stanley? I don't get that. You said alcohol addiction.
He's a parody
too often.
You know,
but what does that got to do with? Well, it is.
If you're going to bring in characters, look, I get that the show is a sitcom, and I don't have a problem with that. But I do have a problem with if you're going to bring in characters from the MCU, then you should treat those characters with a modicum of respect. Hulk still felt like Hulk. Blonsky felt like a person that had been sitting in prison and had reformed himself. Right?
Okay. No, I get what Stanley was talking about.
I didn't find those characters insulting. I found what they did with Wong in this episode to be absolutely insulting.
Why was it insulting? Because he liked to watch The Sopranos?
Because
that's literally
Wong is the epitome of the guy who's too serious about his job. He always has been. And you can say, well, 5 years ago, but in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Wong was still the guy taking his job seriously.
So, let's just say we have like a
and I believe this show takes place before Multiverse of Madness, if I remember correctly.
No, this is supposed to be the kickoff for the new phase. So this takes place after everything that's preceded.
No, this is still phase 4.
But it's the end, right? The next thing is the beginning of the this is the conclusion of phase 4.
Black Panther is the end of phase 4.
Black Panther's the end of phase 4?
Yes.
See, I hate how they make. So I just assume because of the
and part of the problem.
Are you going to keep that up the whole time? I'm just curious. You know.
Oh well,
I'll stop being passionate. You know. I can be boring.
And your mom that's why
Kadish reins me in. Forgot to watch what?
Your mom forgot to watch a show.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh,
but you see, Wong.
I think you'll love it, Mom. Call me after you watch it. Anyway,
Wong to me is the character who Doctor Strange needs to use as inspiration. Doctor Strange doesn't take his sorcery duties serious enough. Wong takes them too seriously, and that makes him an interesting
I disagree because Wong is the one that he was always kind of a funny character. If you go back in the Doctor Strange movie,
he was the straight man to Strange trying to yuck it up. He was never, but the only thing that Wong, the only gag
kind of lightened up. I just think this felt like a natural, organic progression of a character, treating him as if he's a real human.
That overnight he's hanging out with drunk chicks,
but it's not overnight. This has been the blip alone is what 5 years. The
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness takes place after this, and I know it sounds weird, and part of it is because of all the weird delays and stuff from COVID. Things are being released out of order in this phase, and that's part of the reason that this phase feels a little disjointed to some people. But think about it. Shang-Chi ended with the Abomination fight, which takes place during this series.
No, it takes place right before this series, not during. This was before. Because they make that clear, because this all happens in a span of
breaking
a couple
news
days.
In episode 2, it was breaking news that Abomination was out doing cage matches.
Right. So this is right after Shang-Chi in the timeline. This should be right after Shang-Chi.
But Wong also said that he had to, this was him becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. That was why he had to fight Abomination. He said it.
Yes.
Go rewatch the episode. He straight up says
he did say that. But do they time? Oh, I'm looking this up online.
That's why I'm saying the timeline is out of order. She-Hulk should have been released earlier, but it's not because production issues.
So you're saying She-Hulk is before Shang-Chi?
No, I'm saying She-Hulk is before Multiverse of Madness. And in Multiverse of Madness, because that's when Wong and Doctor Strange are bantering back and forth about the fact that Wong is Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay.
And
so according to this is the order for this phase. Loki.
Yeah, and I saw that, Thomas.
What
Thank
If,
you.
WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, then Shang-Chi, then Eternals, then She-Hulk, then Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. So you're right. This was before Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, which I still haven't watched.
Right. You can watch them in order on
Thunder.
On Disney
Okay,
Plus.
so
Disney
apparently
Plus
Thor Love and Thunder is the what's going into what's next, I guess. Black Panther.
Well, no, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is the final part of phase 4.
Okay. So that'll be movie or series the way this list has. That'll be 90, and then that'll be the end of phase 4, and then
that comes out this winter. Black Panther 2 comes out, and then we're into phase 5 with Ant-Man and Wasp.
Stan Lee, to answer your question, I'm talking in chronological order. I can share the article I'm looking at. Here you go in the chat. Here.
And I know it gets a little wonky because of the fact that stuff was released out of order because of production problems. And so obviously they never, and I to me, it doesn't make or break the show, but obviously the CGI in this show is somewhat lacking. They obviously never got it finished to the way they wanted to. At least when Jennifer is in her office attire, she looks horrible.
She does. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean,
it's the clothing, it's the fabric that they use for the man suits. I'm glad that they addressed the man suits, which means we're probably going to get her classic attire from the comics in the next episode or two. But I thought that the Wong stuff was fun if you got rid of Miss Drunk Girl.
Here's the thing to what Stanley was talking about earlier, and I didn't know what he was talking about, but he's absolutely right. The perpetual drunk girl. I do think it would have been sweeter, but this is supposed to be funny. And like, we've had male crude comedy forever. So this is female crude comedy. Just accept it, guys. But
I'm down.
It would have been sweeter. It would have been sweeter if in the tag she wasn't drunk. Yeah, that would have been nice. Right. I mean, I will agree with that. Like, she should have been drunk in the tag.
Classic male crude comedy. What's the one where they were all passed out and they couldn't remember the day before? The Hangover, right? So the Hangover movies. And so classic man crude comedy movie. But in that movie, they didn't have to turn every woman into a conniving witch in order to make the men funny. In this, this is my problem with this episode in particular, and what I've defended about the last 3 episodes, is in this one episode, they've turned every man into a douche or an idiot, even known characters like Wong. And I don't like
Pug.
that.
Not Pug.
Pug's not in it.
Not in this episode, but you said this
series.
The
Pug and the boss are not in the episode at all. So they push them to the sideline so they can do nothing but parade out a bunch of guys that are jackasses. And honestly, I don't think that you can make, like, look, the banter between Jennifer and her assistant and them joking about the dating apps and all that stuff. They can do that and be funny. You don't have to denigrate every man on the show in order to make that funny. And in fact, you could have even played, you could have played into.
But it's okay. It's okay when they do these montages when it's men going on these speed dates.
Why are you turning it into this
different women? Because I think you're just making way too big a deal about this, bro.
What you're doing is called a red herring or non sequitur. One does not mean
it's not.
Just because one is bad, it doesn't mean that it defends the other. All right.
No, it's
I'm
a
not
wash.
saying
It's a wash.
no, it's not a wash. It's wrong in either case. If it's wrong to do it one way, it's wrong to do it the other. That's how you're consistent about things.
Who seemed like a normal guy, Stanley? This guy interacts a lot. Does he not want to join us? Because I keep interrupting.
Stanley?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I know it's not the real Stanley, but I drew a Stanley once, and
if it was the real Stanley, he'd be dead. But stop going into you keep your brain is just drifting. But anyway,
yes, makes fun.
So you don't need to denigrate all the men to make the women funny, because they did a good job with parts of it. Like Madison with a Y was funny as the volunteer at the magic show. She was, to me, her then showing up on Wong's couch. Okay, I can even get past Wong.
She had like a beating heart in her hand, right? Is that what I saw? Yeah, that was great. But what is that? Like, I have so many questions.
Well, she was in a demonic realm. But so she drops on Wong's couch. Wong immediately knows what's going on, sends her home, and then goes to get Jennifer to do a cease and desist.
Yeah, and what's he doing? What's he doing when she shows up, by the way? What's he doing?
He was watching Sopranos.
Exactly.
And so, but if that's all they did, and even if she dropped the stupid spoiler in there, if that's all they did with her, I would have been fine. Having her, like, when they brought her into
court, yeah, that was kind of, you know what, that would be
my
lazy.
bestie.
No, she should have been sober and taken more seriously.
Right. But the fact that she was calling him Wongers, that they were hanging out now, which means that sometime in between that scene where he teleported her home and the actual hearing, she and Wong have been seeing each other.
No, here's what's been happening. I know exactly, because Wong has the instant thing where she can like hop over and back, and she's like, hey, I love Sopranos. If you want to watch it with somebody, I'll come hang out with you and watch it. Or if you want to watch something, I'll be your movie buddy. And so whenever he's got his downtime, he's like, hits her up, because apparently she must be a trust fund baby that only has to party because she's always drunk apparently. And he just is like, hey, yeah, I'm watching this now. And so, yeah, I can see, because he's got time and space and none of that matters to him.
I get that, but I don't buy that Wong would be hanging out with someone like that, because I think that Wong, think about Wong from every other appearance Wong
she likes Sopranos.
Right.
She's harmless. He's not going to take advantage of her because he's a good guy. She's safe.
You're saying that she's the only person on planet Earth he can watch Sopranos with?
Not at all, but it's just one that he happened to meet through random chance in a sitcom on Disney Plus. Let's remember, we're talking about a sitcom on Disney Plus.
Anyway, see, I don't buy that Wong would be hanging out with her, because I think Wong would find her beneath him. And if you look at Wong from every other,
he's just like, she's like a pet. She's like a pet to him. She's like like when I sit and watch,
he would not give her the time
by myself. I got my little puppy dog on my lap, and I just, so I don't feel alone. So I'm watching something with something I love, and I'm pet, like you're doing right now. As a matter of fact, you're doing right now. That's
if T'Pring were constantly drunk and going, I'm T'Pring with an apostrophe, I'd be like, yeah, we're taking her to the pound.
Yeah, but I mean, the dog equivalent of that, you have a Chihuahua. So tell me, like, come on, like, go back to prove my point here, dog. Yeah, see, won't stop licking you. Look at that. Look at that. Hey, that's me. Yeah. I'm getting that.
But she's not. Hey,
you don't know that. You don't speak dog. She could be like, I'm loving this. Whatever. Look at it. She's going to town on your hand, man.
Yeah, she loves licking people. Yeah. That's like her favorite thing.
Yeah. No, and my dog doesn't do that.
All right, we're not talking about dogs here. Stop. All right, so and then the confrontation with the demon baby things was funny. And we did get to see She-Hulk cut loose a little bit, which was nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
that was the best their CGI looked for. I mean, I guess they spent all their money this episode on that sequence or whatever.
Right. And I'd be willing to bet that we're going to see a little more action in the next couple of, because I'm hoping we're going to see the Wrecking Crew again. And we're obviously going to be seeing Titania in the next episode. So,
we also have the main villain. Have we not even seen the main villain yet, or is Titania?
Is there a main villain, or is it just She-Hulk, attorney at law?
I could have swore I read somewhere there was going to be like some big
Well, there's
thing.
whoever sent the wrecking crew after her.
Yeah,
We don't know who that was, although I still think it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus from.
Well, and in my theory is, we
Soldier.
talked about this before. I think she's going to be the one to form the Thunderbolts now that the.
Well, yeah, that's already a given.
Yeah,
she's already got U.S. Agent.
Yeah, and she's about to get Abomination.
Right. So U.S. Agent is going to be their team leader, their version of Captain America, and she's working on getting other people together. The Wrecking Crew.
Hulk. Yeah.
Well, and I think the Wrecking Crew is to get her blood, and eventually she's going to get her blood so that she can use it to synthesize Red Hulk.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to end up with Red Hulk in the movies.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Who do you think the human's going to be? Because it can't be Ross anymore.
Why can't it?
Because the dude's dead.
So,
I mean, I agree with you, but
anyway,
Chadwick Boseman,
I think that they can do a couple of things. One, and we talked about this a little bit last week. One thing that I would, if you were handing the MCU to me, I would say that they gave him the super soldier serum that they enhanced with stuff that they got from Blonsky. And somehow it de-aged him, so you can recast him with a younger actor.
Yeah, you said that. Okay, yeah. That could work.
That's how I would do it. But anyway, as far, I don't think men are the main villains, Thomas. Even I'm not that cynical. And so I'm very curious to see, and it's not copyright law that we'll be exploring. It will be trademark law, which is different.
Which is different. But
and by the way, interesting fun fact. Yes, you can trademark somebody else's stuff and then sue them out of their own stuff.
Oh, it's happened here in Las Vegas. I won't.
Oh, it happened to a friend of my wife's. She had this really. Yeah, she had this thing called Wholesome Harvest, a little natural products line. And then someone else saw it. They created a website, trademarked Wholesome Harvest, and then gave her a cease and desist.
Yep.
And so that's it.
See, I hate to say this, but this was advice I was actually giving to another YouTube channel who've been having a problem with these other people who have their name. And I'm like, well,
trademark your name,
trademark it, send them the cease and desist, and then you can, worry about it. But because I've seen, dude, it's happened here in Vegas quite a few times because like people don't know about that stuff and they'll go. I actually think this will be a highly educational, eye-opening episode for people.
I don't. I think that. I mean, obviously, she's still going to be called She-Hulk, so they're going to come up with some flimsy excuse for why Titanium's lawsuit won't work. My guess would be if they're going to do it in a legal way, I would think that it's because the term She-Hulk. Is first of all, you can't trademark Hulk because that's simply a description of something, and she is just a gender. So
yeah, did they show the? Yeah, but she hyphenated it, didn't she? She put she hyphen.
Right, Hulk, but that doesn't mean if I want to, I can't.
If you modify something, that's where I wouldn't be surprised. Sadly, I'm too familiar with this because I have this logo right here. Has been bastardized and raped and copied so many times, and I've tried to do something about it so many times that I've just now given up, and that's why I rebranded and was just like, screw it. Like, I'm tired of.
Well, that's why people will create similar brand names to existing brands, but unless the word is a made-up word, it's very difficult to trademark the word itself. You can trademark a particular depiction of the word. Like if you look at the word fight on the screen right now, you could trademark that version of the word fight if that was something unique that you had designed.
We'd lose that fight, brother. I bastardized.
No, you wouldn't. You're not trademarking the word fight. You're trademarking this particular use of the word fight in a particular way. Just like the She-Hulk logo, the one that they show at the beginning where it says She-Hulk Attorney at Law, that is trademarked. Right. But trademarking I'm just saying how they're going to probably do it in universe, since in this universe, Hulk is a description of an actual type of person. And so you're just separating her from.
Well, now we're boring the audience because I mean I'm agreeing. You're winning your point, sir. But like this is like.
Whatever. But yeah, it would be like if I wanted to trademark my name as Salty. Never going to work. But I could trademark a particular rendition of the word salty. So
there could be. I mean, I know some lawyers out here you should talk to. No, you probably like, and this is something. Like, I'm going to tell people if you got this kind of money to throw around, I'm giving you some free advice. Kick me back something because like scumbags do this all the time.
We don't need to get. We're not going to continue on the tangent of legalese of trademarks. Otherwise, we're never going to get to lower decks. All right. So.
And I need to take a break between the lower decks, just so you know, because I've already drank all this, so I gotta pee, but I can hold it until we're done with this. So,
of course he does.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's when you can acknowledge your audience. You can go through any super chats or just like answer questions.
Well, we haven't gotten any super chats because you've been such a jerk.
What?
No super chats today.
Oh, well, I'll stop coming back. Because of me, I'm sorry. I'm trying to help.
No,
it's
not hurt you. Just mess with you.
Anyway, so this quality entertainment.
So at the end of the day, I think we can sum up She-Hulk. Our opinions is you thought it was great. You pretty much enjoyed the whole thing, but you liked the dating aspect of it a little better than you liked the Wong storyline. Where
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Well, you said your favorite part was the dude with the dating stuff.
It was. Okay, fair enough. I did say that. So they were equally good. I liked it, man. I did like the dating stuff just a little bit better.
Right.
But it was a great episode, man. Like,
so you thought it was a great episode. I thought this episode fell flat for me as far as the obvious denigration of men was unnecessary. And I didn't like that they butchered Wong's character as far as making him hang out with Miss Madison with a Y. But I did think, not really. We're going to wait till the series is up, and then we can kind of talk about how they all stacked. But I did think that the demon fight, the magician arc, that stuff was a lot of fun. I just wish that they weren't so, and I can't remember what the word is, but the opposite of a misogynist in this episode is what it felt like. All right, so now, there is a word for it. I can't remember.
I know there is. It's yeah, I'm not. I know what you're talking about because it's also it ends in is, but I just say feminazi.
Yeah, well, except that's not an acceptable term on YouTube, so please don't say that. No,
sorry.
Jeez, you just love to get me in trouble. That's like your favorite thing.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea. So
anyway,
I liked it. You did.
It is misandry. That's what it is. Misandry. A misandrist is the opposite of a misogynist. And thank you, Wes. Throws in.
Woohoo!
No, that's not what you're supposed to say.
Super chat.
Jeez, woohoo! What was that? Woohoo! This is boring. Number 15. Make the MCU great again. We're working on it. All right, so hurry up and go do your thing so we can talk about Lower Decks because everybody's been waiting for us to talk about Lower Decks.
I know they have, and it'll be worth the wait. But go ahead and acknowledge your audience.
Just go. I'll be quick. Stop talking. Go. Jeez. I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that this She-Hulk episode definitely was subpar as far as I was concerned. Also, now I know that Thomas sent me a link for the new Picard trailer. And let me see if I can bring that up real quick and see what they show here. So bring the volume down a little bit so it's not too loud.
This message is from Admiral Jean-Luc Picard. We need your help.
Okay, so Starfleet Command's blown up, and we see the Titan. I need to find a ship.
No, I can't ask you to put yourself in danger. Since when?
And so, let's see.
Jean-Luc,
where are you going? Are you going to show something? All right, so we got some Worf, we got some Troy. Yeah.
Hello, beautiful. A Permission to come aboard, Commander.
Permission granted, sirs. Welcome to the Titan.
Why don't you do us the honor, Commander?
Is that supposed to be the new Enterprise? Because if so, it's ugly. Or is that supposed to be the Titan? That's supposed to be the Titan? That's not the frickin' Titan. That looks like a wannabe Enterprise. I mean, let's see. Yeah, that looks like it's supposed to be that. You know what that looks like to me? That looks like a Star Trek Online variant of the Constitution refit. You know, that's all that looks like to me. So and it just looks, it's like too many giblets hanging on it. I don't know, Donnie. I think the ship is too busy, and as far as but it also, I mean, it looks like is this supposed to be retro tech or what? I don't get it. What is that supposed to be? So yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. If that is the Titan, because that first ship they show in the trailer looks like the Titan. Yeah, I saw that you texted me, Miss Moneypenny. I'll check that out later. The new space dock looks all right. I didn't have a problem with that. That space dock is bigger. But this looks like I said,
that's not the Titan, that's the Enterprise, and it's lazy graphic design. I'm sorry, I rushed back. I didn't even refill my drink.
That looks like, to me, I don't know if you heard what I said, but that to me looks
I was
like
listening the whole time.
Online. Yeah, that's a Star Trek Online version of the Enterprise.
Yeah,
it's not, and I mean, look at that.
I didn't know you were going to start talking about this while I was gone, because I actually do. This is something I'd love to talk about, because this is clearly, to me, this is them trying to be all nostalgic and whatever, but that's not how it would go. I mean, the last time we saw Enterprise E, it was a monster.
Right. This looks like,
you know,
if this was a canonical ship, this looks like it should be in the Pike era.
Yeah, you know, yeah, the way they're doing things now.
Yeah.
So.
And your mom wants to know what your drink is.
I'm drinking it's Pepsi Zero, but I rushed back here because I was listening, because I peed, I smoked, I was about to get a drink. And if you really need to track everything.
The D is the ugliest ship in the Enterprise lineage except for the J. I mean, yeah, although harsh. If this is an Enterprise, this is giving the D a run for its money as ugliest ship.
Yeah, that's I'm not.
It just looks like they glued a bunch of giblets onto an old model of the Enterprise.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying, because they've already said in an interview that the Enterprise is going to be in it, and that looks more like the Enterprise than the Titan, because we've
Yeah, that's what I say. Well, like if you look, I don't know if you watched the whole trailer, but at the beginning,
no, I haven't. I haven't seen this at all.
Yeah.
Like, where can I watch this real quick?
It's Thomas sent it to me on Twitter. See, that looks like the Titan right there.
Yeah. That probably is the Titan, because it looks like the Titan. And that other ship is their new Enterprise or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you know what?
Well, plus we see. Look at this at the very end of the trailer. Just before the ugly ship warps out, notice behind it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the Enterprise and the Titan going together on a
totally agree. Totally agree.
And that's
lazy design.
From the front, this is straight up the ugliest Enterprise. Even
it is. It looks like a turkey breast stuck on the bottom of the saucer section with nacelles coming out of it. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, and not even the breast, actually the ass, and because of the deflector.
It's the back of a turkey with a deflector dish in it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. This is. They were going for nostalgia with the saucer section, and we're like, well, we can't go completely nostalgic, and they just made some terribly
Yeah, but this looks
lazy
like
graphic
like
design.
the rim of the saucer is straight out of TMP era.
POS.
Yeah, it's like there's no way that is a 25th century starship.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you, man. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I think it's just they did this design for some kind of nostalgic reason, and I just.
Right.
But supposedly Enterprise is in it, and that looks like the old
that's the Enterprise. Man, am I disappointed. Hope it gets blown up early so they can replace it.
I agree with you. So I'm gonna refill my drink, but like I was passionate.
You still didn't refill your drink? Come on, dude.
No, I told you I went.
Go get your freaking drink. Yeah, I catch what you're saying, Thomas. That the Titan, that wouldn't be the Titan, but yeah, because this is what the Titan looks like. But whatever that is, it's bad. Streaming February 16th. Wow, that's right around the corner. Could be a refit of the Titan. I'm trying to see. So this is the bridge of the Titan, supposedly. Trying to see, is there anything here that indicates the shape of the ship? See, and I think this is a trick, right? And how many freaking impulse engines does the ship need to have? And Dr. Scotty says, Salty, you should get a drink too. All right, I will refill my drink real quick. So I'll let you guys stare at this beautiful picture. Oh, there you go. You can keep them busy for just a second.
I can keep you guys. It's my turn to keep you guys.
Look at, hey, do you think the ship has enough impulse engines?
Right? I don't know. And this is what we think is the Enterprise, right? So I'm just not impressed. Yeah. But Dr. Scotty with a super chat, which I'm assuming that's what he's doing right now. Salty, you should get a drink too. Just to make clear to people, if I'm acting, you think impaired, it's because of this from Thrive here in Las Vegas. Cheap plug. Love to get them as a sponsor. But I'm drinking. It's almost embarrassing to admit, but this stuff here. Pepsi Zero Sugar, which will definitely never be a sponsor. At least it's not. Yeah, no, Discovery does look like a pizza cutter. But this just doesn't look like a 25th century ship. Another excuse for lens flare. No shuttles in the bay. Well, the bay's closed. You can see that the shield, you can see the what is that? Divots in it or whatever. And no, Mom, you've asked that question a couple times. I don't even know what ions, leverage, redemption. See, so what is ions, first of all? But I can't wait to talk about, speaking of TNG, I can't wait to talk about these first 3 episodes of Lower Decks because, man, especially that first episode, there were so many callbacks, throwbacks, Easter eggs, whatever you want to call it, to the Next Generation. Yes, is it Kate or Cation, Mel? I am, but it's legal here in Vegas. Plus, I'm a medical patient, so not that it matters.
You're not talking about drugs, are you?
I'm answering questions in the chat. Basic TV. I don't have TV, Mom. I stream stuff online. So, but I can tell you really want to talk about it. So when we talk on the phone later, I'll let you tell me all about it. Done with She-Hulk. Yes, we are done with She-Hulk. I loved it. It's my favorite episode. Salty hated it. Was his least favorite episode.
Yes. And we both agree that right? If this is the new Enterprise sucks.
Yeah.
So
I did tease up Lower Decks though, because I was trying to segue from a TNG comic.
But it's like, look at the warp pylons. Pick a direction and go with it. I mean, look at it. It goes up, then down, then up steeper. That's like basic engineering. That's going to fall apart.
Who has brain damage?
I don't know. Somebody say.
Yeah, in the chat. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, I got to get rid of that abomination on screen. All right, there we go. So, Lower Decks. We're 3 episodes in.
Yes.
What are your thoughts so far?
It's kind of like, I love the first episode. It was not like the third episode was kind of a letdown, especially because it's Star Trek Day. Like the first episode felt more like, man, that would have been better on Star Trek Day than the third. Does that make sense? You know, like just out of the 3, in full disclosure, I didn't watch. I didn't realize I missed all of season 2. I watched season 1 because I think I talked about it with Salty Nerds or whatever, and then I guess I totally missed season 2. And I didn't have time to watch these 3 episodes. You know, all of season 2 and then these 3 episodes. So I just opted to watch these 3 episodes so I could be prepared.
So you didn't even see the cliffhanger then on season 2,
right? Yeah. So
see,
full disclosure.
And that's, I think, part of the reason that you liked the first episode. I found the first episode to be the worst of the 3. And
oh, really? Bummer.
Yes. And for one
We're
main
just disagreeing today.
Yes, we are. There was one main thing that I really did not like about it. And granted, you could argue that this is a Star Trek trope, but even if it was, there was no referential material to it to kind of get the dig in. And that is that. So at the last season, and since you didn't see season 2, sorry, minor spoilers here for season 2.
No worries. No, please tell me so I have context.
Last season had an ongoing plot that was happening kind of behind the scenes that we revisited as the A storyline of, like, I don't remember if it was like maybe 3 episodes, 2 or 3 episodes of last season with the Packlids. And the Packlids had developed this insane new tech thanks to the Klingons. And thanks to a group of Klingons, and they were planning on doing something, but part of this whole plan that the Packlids had was to blow up a planet called Packlid Planet. And so they blew up the planet, and the Cerritos was, of course, in the middle of all this, trying to figure it out. They know that the Klingons are involved. They're getting ready to investigate it, and then all of a sudden, Starfleet security shows up and arrests Beckett's mom. I can't remember, but Captain Beckett, and arrests her because she, they had proof that she blew up Packlid Planet, and this was going to be like dun dun dun. So next season we're going to have to resolve this whole thing with her being arrested, this whole Packlid storyline,
and then
they bam resolved it off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just walks in. Oh yeah, we got it taken care of. We're good. Here's what the plot was, and I
guess I can see, like, I think I agree with you. I think if I had watched season 2, that might be, but like, because I
was waiting since season 2 to see what was going to happen.
Maybe that's what these guys do. Maybe they write these to be like where people could just jump in at the beginning of a season, because everybody complains they're basically one long movie and not episodic.
But it would have been. I'll tell you, it would have been hilarious if like Boimler saying something like, wow, they just kind of fixed it. That was kind of anticlimactic. And then Beckett could say something like, well, at least they didn't cure them of being lizards off screen or something, something to that effect, to where you could get the joke that, because Voyager has done that, a few times, where they'd have some kind of major thing going down, cut to commercial, come back from commercial. Wow, that was some adventure, wasn't it? And you're like, what? So I get that's kind of a trope, but they didn't acknowledge it as a trope. They just did it. And I felt so let down by that because I was actually looking forward to what the Packlid plot was. I wanted to see more Crazy Riker, which you haven't seen Crazy Riker. Crazy Riker, who's voiced... You okay?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Cece was just reminding me of something. Please continue.
So Crazy Riker, who's voiced by Jonathan Frakes, is the captain of the Titan on this show. And Boimler is serving under him briefly in season 2. And everything Crazy Riker says is a reference to music. And so
why are you calling him Crazy Riker? Is this like Thomas Riker? Is this just like a
no? It's just because
this portrayal of Riker.
This is just the lower decks version of Riker.
Okay.
And so Riker was on the bridge, and they're battling these Packlids and doing all this stuff, and he's like, looks like this frame's got too many licks and not enough not enough crescendo, and Boimler's at the con going, I don't know what that means,
Well, I do plan on going back to watch it because I did enjoy these episodes so much. Like they're kind of blurring together, but which one had Geordie's girlfriend, or not girlfriend, but the one he fell in love with on the holodeck?
That was episode 3, where that
was the last episode.
Fantasies were coming out of those green balls.
So that was, that was probably like, I don't know. I liked how, and maybe just I'm a sucker for it, but I liked every episode had really cool TNG callbacks. The first one basically did First Contact. I mean, they had the First Contact land or whatever it was called. I forget.
Right.
With the statue that Geordie. Yeah, that Geordie.
Well, notice they
Geordie
brought back
with the hand reaching out, just like he said. Yeah, they brought the same actor.
Right, and they brought in Martok in the next one for their D&D game.
Yep. No, it wasn't D&D. I had the game that's based off of. It was called.
I remember that game.
Yeah, it was. I remember the game. Interactive game. Oh my god! And so like I like that. I love that. I popped my
you cower in a corner, you worthless dog.
It would just like, because you'd be playing the board game part, and then all of a sudden it just be like the Klingon would just start yelling at you, rah! And you're like, everybody like, huh?
And what I see in Lower Decks, especially from episode 2 and 3, as the show is now, they're in their 3rd season, they're really kind of coming into their own, and they're building up a Lower Decks version of the Star Trek universe where you feel like you're getting real Star Trek adventures just layered in silly comedy.
Yeah, so let me ask you something. This was something I'm confused about, and probably mainly because I missed the 2nd season. Where in the timeline is this? This is like, how far is this? Like, I guess this is
they've never been
Picard, but after TNG. It's got to be after TNG.
Well, yeah. The only thing we know for sure about the timeline, I don't think they've made it painfully clear. However, it is definitely post Voyager.
It's post Voyager. Okay.
Yes, and the reason I can say that
is it post Nemesis also? Because Nemesis is after Voyager. Because remember, Janeway's an admiral.
Yeah, I don't know that they've made any references to Nemesis, but I will tell you that there's an episode where Tom Paris guest stars, and which was hilarious because Boimler, of course, is a huge Tom Paris fan because he collects Voyager collectible plates.
Right.
And he wants to get the Tom Paris one autographed by Tom Paris, who's visiting the ship.
Right.
And so he's trying to get to the bridge, but then the turbo lifts go out. So he decides to climb through the Jeffries tubes, but then there's a fire in the Jeffries tubes. And so he's like trying to get around all these problems, just trying to get to the bridge so that he can get Tom Paris to sign his collector's plate. And he gets electrocuted and burnt and all this stuff. So he finally falls out of a panel from the ceiling of the bridge right in front of Tom Paris. And he's completely covered in soot. Right, because from the fire, right, and his hair is frizzed out because of being electrocuted, and Tom Paris immediately goes, "A Kazon!" and tackles him. So
it's obviously before Enterprise. Thanks for I can always need to troll me, Mr. Potts.
Yeah. And yes, Cinnabon, Borg Snake is now the best villain ever. Borg Snake is a thing.
Yeah. So what?
Although I do like the Klingon clowns. Come on, the Klingon clowns.
Yeah. Yeah. So you that was at the what was it called? It wasn't First Contact Land. It had a better name than that. What was it? Do you remember?
I think it was called like First Contact Land or something like that.
Okay.
And Borg Snake should get its own series. I don't know if I really that. So the first episode I was very disappointed in because they rushed through the whole Beckett trial. However, I've actually really liked episode 2 and 3. I think that both of them tell good self-contained stories that fit within this twisted version of the Star Trek universe. And so to me, that was, and I also like that they've kind of established now that the Cerritos does have a little bit of a reputation, but they're known as the cool kids. And as far as all the California class people are concerned.
Well, yeah, I loved, I don't know. Yeah, baby. I told him I love the game. That's episode 2. I just, because I say hi.
Hi, Cece. Tell Cece she could do better.
Yeah, this is a way more.
He said, yeah, it is. He said you could do better, baby. Well, that's what he said.
Do better in him?
Yes.
Do better in him?
He says yes.
Yeah. Yes. Come on, you can get that dude from She-Hulk that you think is such a great guy.
Okay, I'm glad everybody we got the most viewers right now to catch that awkward moment in my life. Thank you, 31 people. Yeah, we're live, honey. 18 likes so far. Thank you very much. If you haven't got to like it yet, out of 31 viewers, please hit that like button. If you don't already subscribe to Salty Trek, please subscribe. Sorry.
And yeah, exactly, Stanley. We've had some stories in this season, and because they've been real stories. Like the Hunter guy, that was kind of cool, and the fact that he's catch and release was hilarious. Right, and so because the whole time Boimler thought he was going to die, and meanwhile everybody else on the crew is being really nonchalant about it because they all know he's a catch and release.
Yeah,
and then
did you think they were going to be? Did you think Picard was going to make a cameo when they show the vineyard?
Oh yeah, the vineyard. That was a good little fake out, but I didn't care for the fact that all the women were like drooling over Boimler.
I thought that was hilarious, and he didn't know how to handle it, man.
He was completely oblivious to it.
Yeah,
it's not that he didn't know how to handle, but that's the problem is that Boimler is awkward and and all that, but I don't think he would not catch on that every woman on his family vineyard where they raise raisins, I love that they don't even do, but every woman on the vineyard is after him, and he never got wind of this. I mean, come on, that makes almost as little sense as you believing that dude was a good guy on She-Hulk.
So, oh wow, that was a backhanded insult or something. I don't know. Anyway,
no,
hey, I don't know if you. Yeah, it was front-handed. Check the private chat since you're being so abusive. Showing Boimler is out of it. Episode.
Yeah, I know.
I don't. I feel like they're just going for the laugh, Stanley. Oh, great, Mom! I finally watched them, and you forgot to. That's great. Anyway, and then so did we? That was the second episode, right?
Right. Well, the second episode was the Hunter, and where Boimler was going to start saying yes, and things just really started working out for him until he volunteered to be hunted. And then the third episode is the one we just saw with the green balls that create your fantasy. Yeah. But was really a plot from the scientists and the
so we talked about whatever out of order. It sounds like.
Yeah. But I think that we're seeing, hopefully, except for the first episode so far. I mean, even the first episode had a story. I just didn't think. I thought the resolution was lazy and rushed. Why? Whereas because it was just solved. It wasn't. They didn't do anything to solve it. It was just solved for them.
But As someone pointed out in the chat, they reference. Where is it? Oh well. Oh, Stanley. Yeah, they at least show that everything that happened. No, that wasn't it. Anyway,
They have the little
they say in the
flashback
episode
kind of
that it always works out and not to worry. That's what I was saying.
Right. They did say that early on, but that's but that would just kind of say, oh yeah, don't worry, we know everything's going to be fine. Nudge,
It's
nudge.
a silly
wink, wink.
cartoon. It's a silly cartoon. I actually my favorite episode. I mean, I like the first 2 episodes a lot. I can't say my favorite. I can definitely say the third was my least favorite. Why was that your favorite?
I didn't say it was my favorite. I just like the fact that.
Oh, I thought you did. Oh, okay.
No, I think I like the second episode the best of the 3 because I really like the hunter and the concept of catch and release, because that's something that's never been touched. Is we've had these hunter races, but we've never thought about catch and release, which is something that sportsmen do all the time.
Well, it's also like we're talking about the game, but yeah.
Like imagine if the Predator was a catch and release
catch.
Guy,
yeah. Instead of ripping your spine out, kind of guy.
Yeah, but this last one, I thought it told a decent story. It was it was not convoluted. It was easy to understand. They had a little bit of character development from a few different people. I liked the gag at the end where the lieutenant commander's arms were still healing back on. It was a fun episode. It was a good episode. It just wasn't as good as the second episode.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like I agree, but I also like the first episode. So I thought they come out strong. I just wish they'd had a better episode for Star Trek Day.
Well, I was thinking Star Trek Day should be the day they did the crossover. If they were going to do a crossover, they should have done it on Star Trek Day. But you never know; it might be.
Are they doing? Well, yeah, no, I heard the crossover is not going to be on the animated. It's just going to be.
It's going to be on Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. So yeah,
which makes no sense, but yeah,
I know, right? They could have done both. They should have done both, and they could have released because they could have had the animation one today.
I think I figured out a way to do it, as far as make a crossover that kind of makes sense. And not because I was sitting there thinking, how are they going to get the whole cast of Lower Decks live action? And then I thought, oh, they don't have to if they do it this way. So in the episode I was talking about where we meet Crazy Riker, and he's talking about jazz music when he's giving orders and nobody knows what he's talking about. In that episode, they're being pursued by a bunch of Pakled ships and the Titan is outgunned. And so they make a beeline for a spatial anomaly to get away. And so what if that spatial anomaly sends them back in time 200 years and bam, you have the Titan face down with the Enterprise from Strange New Worlds. And then they have to work together to repair the Titan to where the Titan can then go back forward in time. And the nice thing is, if you do that, you only need 2 legacy characters to come over. Riker, which would be cool to see Riker, and Boimler. And the nice thing is that
they already confirmed the chick. What's her name?
Beckett.
Beckett. Yeah.
Mariner.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. I think that would work though, because then if you brought the Titan in, you could have Riker and Boimler already looks like himself. So, that's easy enough to do. Because what's his name? I always forget his name, but the voice is Boimler. Of course, he's in The Boys, and he looks every bit as nerdy as Boimler.
Yeah. I think it might have been an artist rendering, but I saw a picture of him with purple hair, which I thought was funny. But Cinnabon Bunny. I totally agree. Thank you for pointing out. Cinnabon Bunny, we don't follow the senior officers in this show, so it makes sense we don't get to see any of the trials. So it makes sense where they're like, yeah, everything seems to always work out, and we don't see their point of view because they don't have one, because they're not a part of that drama that you're used to.
But that's what's been changing a little bit.
The senior officers.
We have been following more of the senior officers in season 2, and even more so in season 3. It's just that we don't see it all from their perspective. we're still focused on Boimler, Mariner, the four
Right.
lower
So
deck
you see them from those characters' points of view. So you only see
but
like
we're
when they're
following
with
the
them,
story.
but when they're not.
But we are
Yeah, we're
following the
following the
story
story.
of the whole.
Right.
Like, notice
they don't.
we saw the conference room without any of the lower deckers in the room. We saw the conference between the people, and they were giving her the rock, and then Tindy came in and made her scene. So if they were doing it,
so they were still setting up a scene for
right,
context,
but Tindy wasn't in the room the whole time.
Right.
Like, we're not only seeing them. And so I think that
but I think we've only seen them when it comes in service of, see, you needed that to provide context for whatever that character was about to do. You know what I mean? So like, it's not, we don't ever really see things. So like normally you would see, like, we're following the senior staff. And so like when they're meeting with ancillary characters or guest stars or whatever, it's like, yeah, they're like the lower decks version of those people. And oh yeah, they were involved in this big thing that happened to involve all of the senior staff that we're normally,
Right.
with, but then you only see them like two or three times a season. So it's just the reverse of that. And I think really the only time we've seen him with that, I mean, I haven't watched season 2, but like one of the things
we're seeing more of the higher officers. It's just that we're seeing it from the perspective that the lower deck, like Boimler wants to be, a senior officer, so he's trying to kiss the right butt. Mariner doesn't give a crap about them, so she's always trying to avoid them. Tindy, and now she's trying to become a senior officer, which we're seeing now in this season. And of course, Rutherford just likes being an engineer. And so, by the way, I liked his built-in flashlight. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Well,
but the whole, I think that it would be one thing that would be kind of fun. I hope they do this at some point, is to do a flash forward at some point to them being the senior officers on a starship. And what
that's
kind
a cool
of
thing. Like, why be in a rush with animation? I mean, Simpsons has been around for over 30 years. I mean, there's a lot of potential if the audience. No, I know, but like I said, with streaming and everything, and how crave for content we are, and how, like, comparatively speaking, cheaper animation is compared to live action, I wouldn't be surprised if this show stuck around for a really long time.
I liked it too, but I also want to see more than 10 episodes a season or whatever. I mean,
and I will say, I know this sounds backwards, but after watching these 3 for this, like, quote unquote homework assignment, I'm going to go back and watch all of season 2, because I did enjoy season 1. It wasn't that I didn't. I guess it just fell off my radar, and I totally, because when you told me I was talking to my mom, you said we were going to talk about this, and she was talking to me about it. And I was like, yeah, well, I was talking about season 2, and she's like, well, honey, I already watched season 1 and 2. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Season 2 hasn't come out. And she's like, so yeah, I was just out of it for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know. They didn't do a good job.
And Malfi's, I could absolutely see that if they made the Strange New Worlds crossover another Riker holodeck, and that would be a classic Lower Decks way to end it.
Wow,
would be to have that.
I hope that happens.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That would be a classic Lower Decks ending right there, is to have Riker turning off the holodeck and saying something jazzy at the end. That would be.
Yeah, but there has to be like an Archer plaque or some type of Easter egg or something. That would be great. I love it. So, because I do got to wrap up soon. What are your, you want to do final thoughts on these 3 episodes, or?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think that episode 1 was weak, but episode 2 and 3, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Okay.
So,
well, we mostly agree. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I just happen to like the first episode more than you did.
And it's nice to see the show is maturing into, while a parody version, a real show, as opposed to just a bunch of gags connected loosely by a story. There actually is a story in each episode, and the gags are flowing from the story as opposed to it just being stupid gags. Like, all the weird stuff we saw from the green balls was because the green balls were pulling their thoughts out and putting random things together. And so that actually made sense. And so we got clown Klingons and Borg snakes and stuff. Now, did you watch, we got a couple of minutes left, did you watch Lord of the Rings?
No, I think didn't you get my email? Like, no, and I will not.
Okay. Oh, that's
think it
right.
was
You're
a tweet.
refusing to watch.
Yeah.
Why are you refusing to watch it?
Because I got a whole season of Lower Decks to watch, man. I don't have so much time to watch stuff and work and try to pay my bills. I don't.
On CC like Lord of the Rings?
I don't think so. I don't know.
There's gonna be some good bonding time with you and Cece. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've read nothing good and heard nothing good about it. So if enough people I respect who are being forced to watch it tell me I should, I will. But I'm gonna wait. So.
And I agree that
I am watching House of the Dragon. If you want to discuss the most recent episode,
I have not seen it at all. But I gave up on Game of Thrones after season 1. And yes, Stanley, they do some surprisingly deep cuts on Lower Decks, but that's actually to me,
they do.
That's the proof right there that Lower Decks is made by people who really love the show.
They make a lot of, like, the dude that played the game was from that episode with the
Stratagema game.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool.
Well, and in season 2, I think it is, you'll get to see, you remember, did you ever watch the original animated series, animated series?
Oh, there was they had a
50-foot Spock is in it. Is in season 2 of Lower Decks.
There was some monster in the 3rd episode that was straight out of the animated series.
They had a Vendorian.
Yeah.
The squid looking thing.
Nerd card to you. Yeah, no, I didn't know the name of it, but I recognized it. It's like,
so yeah, they go really deep looking for stuff to throw in, and that's actually something I really like. Is that you can tell that Mike McMahon and the rest of the creators of Lower Decks are not doing this out of hate. They're not doing it because they think Star Trek is stupid. They're doing it because they're making fun of stuff that we've talked about for decades.
Yeah, no, they're clearly fans. This is like a love letter with a sense of humor with all kind. And the cool thing is even if you haven't seen any other Star Trek and you don't understand any of the Easter eggs in the backgrounds or in the background and things like that, it's still entertaining. Like, I had my because I remember my kids watched season 1 with me, and we all enjoyed it. And so they would have been like at that time probably like 11 and 14.
So Thomas just sent me, there's a trailer out for Prodigy too, if you care about. I couldn't get into Prodigy. I just,
my mom, my buddy Eric, a bunch of people have been telling me to watch it. They've been saying it, like my buddy Eric says it's the best new Trek that's out.
Well, it's coming back October 27th, so I guess we'll be talking about it I'm gonna have to watch the rest of season 1 one of these days. But I had a really tough time getting into it because a bunch of insolent kids taking a starship with no security protocols just bugs me.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, but really? Yeah, and I get it, Stan, that I'm not the audience for it is meant for preteens, but I got to say that doesn't excuse the show because they say Prodigy is canonical. So if it's canonical, then that means that Starfleet in the 25th century has no security whatsoever.
Well, that said, boys and girls,
yes, we do need to wrap it up because Danny is a wuss. And
no, I have a doctor's appointment if you want to get for real about it. I gotta go schedule surgery for my right shoulder, and I can text you later and let you know how that goes if you want.
Cool. Well, yeah, let me know when it's going to be so we don't we can
make sure it's not on a Thursday.
Well, we should it's okay to do it on Thursday. We'll just live stream the surgery while me and Kadish are talking about the latest Star Trek and stuff. That would be hilarious. Like, you just see, hey, look, they're cutting in there. Oh, and there's
I doubt they'd let that happen.
So they made the official announcement for the Khan series. It'll be called Khan SETI Alpha 5. A series that I think is going to suck so bad.
So is this supposed to be based off the title? That'll be what his time.
This will be Khan on SETI Alpha 5 surviving,
between
which to me is like
Space Seed and Khan. Yeah,
the most uninteresting thing ever. We know what happens. They end up on the planet. After 6 months, the other planet blows up, turns into a desert. Some of them survive. Then they take over the Reliant. I don't need more than that.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, hey, thank you, Donnie. Goodbye to you as well. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Yeah, Mom, all these problems I have with my joints and hips and shoulders and stuff, that's all thanks to your side of the family. Thanks for effing the gene pool. Love you for that. Just kidding. Not really. And Michael,
Right. So with
what
that,
do you
we'll
say?
wrap
Be the
it up.
salt of the earth.
Yes,
Long and
you are the
prosper.
salt of the earth, but I'm the salty trekker. And what was I going to say? So next week, Kadish is going to have to talk about the first 4 episodes of Lower Decks.
That'll be
And
fun.
so have a good one, guys. And, you know, we'll all look forward to live streaming Danny's surgery, because that'll be a thing. You know, it's going to be a thing.